What is going on, YouTube? I hope you all are having a wonderful day. It's going to be another technical analysis breakdown of the E-mini futures using Profile. And we're just going to be starting it out looking at our 30-minute time frame and kind of looking at what occurred throughout the day. Then we'll go over our weekly and our daily time frames and kind of discuss what is occurring on those. How are we looking in the larger time frame picture before the big number tomorrow, PCE? Um, so we had jobs numbers and etc. We had all types of different data come out today. And bottom line is we opened with a gap and we couldn't hold the gap. We came in, filled the gap, only to rally, and it was a very just kind of crap day for the market in the sense of opportunity. Was there opportunity? Yes, but it was not great risk reward opportunities, as everything was kind of just slow. Today was one of or is the smallest range of the year, so and very light volume at that. So this big push up that has happened overnight and then opening up with a gap only to fill it with a very small amount of volume kind of doesn't show confidence that buyers are actually in this thing. Yes, buyers are in, but it's not institutional, it's not big money. If it was, we definitely wouldn't have backfilled this gap. We would have continued to move up higher, breaking out of this weekly balance. For now, I'm going to say that we stretched the weekly balance, and I'll show you why here in a second. First and foremost, if you guys don't mind, please leave a like and subscribe if you are new. And if you're enjoying the content, have any questions, please leave a comment down below, and I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. So first things first, let's look at what our area of balance looked like, right? So we were in a daily balance, right? This was my daily balance. I said we were one time framing up once we broke out of it yesterday with a large gap. We did not backfill that gap like we did today's gap. Get rid of this thing. So yesterday's price action opened with a gap, drove above our daily balance high, and then we pushed up into our weekly balance high and then above last week's high. Our weekly balance high was using this is also a March contract, so it's not going to look accurate, but the weekly balance high was at 82.25. We got up to a high today of what was it? 87.75. So we only stretched it by 5 points and then we came back in. We got above previous week's high, didn't really find much acceptance above it, rolled back into the previous week's range, and then kind of started to grind back up. So, are we finding acceptance up here, or did we just stretch the balance high for now and we'll roll back over into the previous range? That is a question that we'll have to see play out before we actually know the answer. Can we predict markets? No. But what is the more probable thing? Right now, the daily is one time framing up, so probability favors us taking out today's high, right? Chances are us taking out today's high is pretty good. Our odds are pretty good to take out today's high because that's what we've been doing since we came out of our daily balance. Now, as far as the weekly, we may remain in balance. So we got some conflicting market generated information to kind of going against us, right? Weekly, we're getting near our balance, and then daily, we're moving out of our balance to the upside. Now, could yesterday's video, I did say, could you call the overall area balance, right? Could you say, what was it? Could you say this whole thing up until this point was a large daily balance? And I said you could have. There was nothing wrong with you saying that the balance was right here at this high versus this high or this high. But for me, I was going to say that the daily is up. Now going back into our 30-minute time frame, let's review what happened today. So with that conflicting market generated information, right, moving into a balance high on the weekly, and then our daily one time framing up, continuing, and then once again with an emotional gap, only to backfill after taking out daily highs and then filling a single print just before we get to a gap. you know, it was tough read, tough read. Not a lot happened for me today. I actually ended up having another losing day, which isn't surprise. Days like today, I tend to do the worst, and my patience is something that I'm working on. It is something that continue to strive to improve on, and I guess my fear of missing out as well. So, with that being said, let's get into what happened today. We will go through and mark my time frames as well as I review what occurred throughout the day. Zoom this bad boy in. So we open up in A period. Open up in A period with a gap above the previous day's high and had a pretty big, pretty big gap. Relatively large. It was 23 points at the open. 23 points gap, pretty decent size, $2 gap on the SPY. So that was one thing in the checklist for buyers. They had value that was up higher. So this whole area of value was moved up higher, right? This was value yesterday. This is value today. Value got moved up higher. So two things were in buyers' favor at the moment. And then we struggled to get the overnight high. And the overnight high finally came. It was right around 86.75. We finally got the overnight high and began to one time frame up in B period. I'll mark that. Finally began to one time frame up in B period. Only to roll over, have a reversal bar, and then B be our entire initial balance, because the initial balance is the first hour of the trading day or the first two 30-minute time frames, high and low. So since B was all of that range, high and low, we got the overnight low, or excuse me, the overnight high. So we had at the time three things in the buyer's favor. Actually, four things. Excuse me, four things in the buyer's favor. We had overnight high, we had a gap, we had one time framing up, and then we had value in favor of buyers. So four things to zero in that span of time, right? And then B period rolled over, had a reversal bar, and then began to attempt to take back some of this trend. We had gotten above that high day there, which was last week's high, and then we got that single print fill before we got to the gap. I attempted to take a long in A period actually on an initial pullback. I was long right around 83, 82. And then I was planning on adding if this thing held the gap, because I wasn't, kind of like yesterday, we held the gap, right? And then chopped around and grinded up higher. Today I was kind of expecting a little bit difference. I was kind of expecting, all right, we had a big move up. Let's see if we hold the gap, rotate up, get the overnight high. And once we get the overnight high, I may look to add to my position. Well, A period pulled back. I entered my position, and then once B period opened up, took out A's high, got the overnight high, and pulled back. Initially, I added to my position and had a total of a 5 lot on at the time. And then what happens? We push up, can't get back above A's high, and we roll over, take out A's low, giving back the one time framing up because we took out the A's low, where I got stopped out for a loss on the trade. And then at that point, I was kind of like, all right, I do not know what the market wants to do. Let's step back and see what is going to happen, especially with this reversal bar. Market generated information was starting to become mixed. So it wasn't getting much downside to the tempo, or much downside tempo. Kind of attempting to go trend, but we kind of pushed back up. I actually got short, sold in B period to see if maybe they would want to go and fill the gap initially. I was selling right around 75, 76, which is where VWAP was at the time. And once we couldn't push down lower with any volume, we rotated back up and I got stopped out once again. So I got stopped out on the long, got stopped out on the short. What's happening? I'm starting to get emotional, right? It was kind of want to, just see what the market wants to do. Market generated information is becoming confusing, and I'm getting chopped away. And then we have C period. C period opens up. C period opens up inside the initial balance and doesn't do anything. We just chop around, so I didn't do anything in C. Same thing in D period. D period, uh, and it was a lot of chopping back and forth between the opening and VWAP at the time. Now D period pushed up, couldn't get back above the open, and that was kind of a telltale sign that maybe we'll go and take out the initial balance low. So was it a good risk reward opportunity to short against C's high and maybe use the high of day as your out? Yes, but C's high, or excuse me, D's high was 84.50. I guess 3 points worth of risk to come down and take out the initial balance low at down here at 72. So 3 points, your reward is 10. Not a bad risk reward long or risk reward short opportunity, but because we were just chopping around, there really wasn't any trade or plan there for me. And then in E period, we got near the lows. We had a relatively wide point of control, and at the time, point of control was at 79. It had gotten lowered as we pushed near the day's low. So point of control was right around 79. And in E period, I was looking to fade any extreme or edge to kind of see if we'd rotate up. But something that happened was sellers started to get control, right? Sellers had now gotten the open. We hadn't gone back through the open since D period. So sellers now have the open. We are one time framing down because D took out C's low and then E took out D's low. So we're one time framing down. What was it? One time framing down. Oh, and we had lowered POC. Point of control got lowered down to A's low. So sellers slowly started to have the upper hand. And then guess what? They get the initial balance low. So more things kind of start to lean in sellers' favor. But with a gap, higher value, and the overnight high, was kind of expecting a fade the edge or extreme moment to rotate back up and take out the high. That was not the case as we pushed lower and I got stopped out of my position in F period. And then in F, I attempted to get short. We pushed up, I get stopped out, and I decided not to do anything for the remainder of the day after that. That was my last trade of the day. Was just noticing that I was just getting chopped up on shorts and on longs. It wasn't really worth the risk, so I got out of the market and just watched this thing slowly dry as we push lower. We continue to one time frame down in G period, taking out F's low. We stopped that in H. Stopped that in H because actually, did we? No, we didn't stop it in H. We pushed up to G's high and only took it out by a tick, so that does not technically stop the one time framing down. We continue it in I period and fill the gap. Finally filled the gap to the tick before bouncing and reversing. Now, good opportunity was a long against that gap fill, and then maybe using L, get back into L's range as you're out. So you risk 2 points, 3 points on the gap fill to potentially rotate back up to where point of control was at 79 or to half back at 74. So you're taking a long 61, wanting to rotate back up to half back here at 74. And, that would have worked out really well as in J period, we stopped the one time framing. That was also a good risk reward opportunity is once we opened up in J period, seeing that we couldn't push back any lower to take out I's low, that you may pop I's high, get a stop run, and stop the one time framing, causing some short covering and momentum buying stepping into the market. And that's exactly what happened in J period. We stopped the one time framing. K opens up, we push up. Could have had a good opportunity short against E's high, thinking that maybe we might have an afternoon rally high and roll back over. That wasn't the case. It did give you an opportunity to short it and push back lower, but you don't want to stay married to it because guess what? Good old Larry pushed up, starts one time framing up, and then M, good old Mo, continues the one time frame up. And we just end with today's high and today's low where the gap filled and nothing in between. That's the story, right? Very, very few opportunities to do any actual trading. Very few. Good opportunity down here at the gap fill. Take a long. Good opportunity to take a long to stop the one time framing in J period. Um, uh, and then I guess a good opportunity to take a short in D period against C's high to roll over and get the initial balance low. Other than that, there wasn't anything out there for me, so I didn't trade the rest of the day. So let's mark our destinations. Go over what is potential. Since that is actually to the tick, we'll say that's the low of day here. Change that to the 30th now. Don't have to do much there. So there's our low of day, 61.25. Now we'll mark our high of day up here at 87.75. Now we did have a decent point of control, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 wide, but not wide, not quite wide enough for it to really matter. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6, 6, 7, yeah, 7 wide at A's low, 79. So not wide enough to matter or really have any hold on it. So we really won't mark it, but we will not ignore it going forward. Then we got today's high of day, 330.23. Boom. All right, so if we open up inside today's range, small range, you have a good opportunity of taking out either the high or the low, as it is not a very large range at all. If we take out today's high, you will look to fill the gap that starts at 90.50, fills at 95.75. Your next destination is up here at 41.19.50. If we open up, can't get back above today's high, which is currently our weekly balance high, do not forget that weekly balance high. If we can't get above 87.75 and we roll over, you will take out today's low at 61.25. Look to take back this little set of single prints down here at 52. 75, and they fill at 52.25, and then trade at the 9 wide point of control down here at 44.25. That will act as a target, as a magnet for these algorithms and short-term traders to get to for a potential bounce. Below that, you have the afternoon pullback low, but I wouldn't lean on it too much because there isn't much space between that and the day's low at 40.32, and then the gap where it fills at 4,009.50. And since tomorrow could potentially be volatile, you may take out both sides here. You never know. Or we could continue to consolidate and have a small range. All is in the air. You never know with this market. Now let's go ahead and look at our larger time frames. Let's go ahead and break it down with the monthly, just to give you guys an idea of what the month looks like as we go into the month end of the quarter as well. We are in a solid 4-month balance, just chopping around inside this 4-month balance, inside this range of 42.0850 down to 37.8850. Just chopping around. Not a lot going on. And you can kind of see that, and the result of that in the daily and weekly time frame. You can see that the weekly, once again, my mouse is not working properly. You can see that the weekly is just bouncing it back and forth in between. We got to the balance high, rolled over, got near our balance low, started to bounce back up, and now we've been in a 1, 2, 3, 4-week balance on our weekly time frame, and today we just slightly stretched the top of that balance by a little bit. We want to look to get above and get some pretty good extension away from this balance high. You want to see volume pick up, and that's not what you're seeing currently. You're not seeing volume pick up. We're not getting much extension. So sellers could potentially protect this area. Anybody that was buying down here, they're selling up here. And anybody that wants to get in on a sell side, thinking that, they'll risk up to 200 points up to the upside. Any large players that would risk that much to the upside, they're selling here, right? So you're getting a lot of conflicting information, as well as this downward trend that we're kind of attempting to break out of. Now, this high here would be the high that you want to get over as a buyer. You get above that, then you stop this the lower highs and lower lows. So with that being said, just keep in mind that our daily is right there at it. Right there at it. We just barely got above it and pushed down to fill the gap and then pushed back up. It's a very small range, not a lot there to lean on. And, a good opportunity for us to roll over, get back below the 50 and fill the gap down here. So good possibility of that. Let's look at our daily. You can see that we broke out of that daily balance. We're one time framing up 2 days in a row now. And then we have this gap fill that I have highlighted right here that you were looking to fill. You want to fill this gap and get back above that area and push up to this high back on the 16th of February. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by. I hope this video is informational and hopefully helps you guys understand the market a little bit better. If not, then good luck. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks. See you.